Great. Well, Emily, if you want to get started, I'll do a little introduction for you. So
Okay.
Emily here is the founder and owner of Wildflower Art Studio. And today she's going to be talking about tips on pivoting your business and, dealing with unexpected changes during this time. So Emily, if you want to go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, thank you. I think it will be most helpful if everyone can sort of introduce yourself and I want to make this applicable to your businesses. So maybe we can just go, I don't know how to do this on.
If you switch to gallery view at the top right of your Zoom screen, you'll be able to see everybody.
Okay. Erica, you want to start us?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Erica with the Denton Chamber of Commerce. Our business doesn't look like a lot of businesses, but we are having to change our model in practically everything we're doing. So I'm here to hopefully learn something that we can take back to the chamber, but also to hear where you guys are at in your businesses.
Awesome. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
Heather?
Hi, same. So I'm the director at Stoke, and we're like a co-working space where dozens of people used to come and work together. And then the other big thing that we did was like rent our space and host events. And so similarly, we're pivoting everything that we do in terms of like hosting our events virtually, and figuring out like the value that we can provide our members to keep them customers. Yeah, and then also, our perspective is also trying to make sure that we can take relevant information back to them to help give them ideas for pivoting their businesses, because that's really the name of the game right now, right? So
awesome. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Petra?
Hi, I also work for the Denton Chamber of Commerce and Discover Denton, and
trying to gain some insight into how to turn our events that were only in person into online events so that we can continue networking within the community. But same as what Erica and Heather said too, finding out what other people's needs are so that I can remain to be a resource for our business community.
Awesome. Glad you're here. Mary, I feel like you kind of introduced yourself.
I actually forgot to introduce myself.
Oh,
this is good. My name is Madi. I'm the hospitality and events coordinator at Stoke. So basically what Heather said, and, just we're really trying to gauge where the community's at, what you guys need, and how we can best be of service to everybody. But yeah, it's nice to meet everybody. Hi, Julie.
Sorry, I mispronounced your name too. Madi.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Sherry?
Well, I jumped in here at the last minute when Emily told me she was teaching this class. I'm an artist and teacher. I combine my art with yoga, doing workshops, and I'm the creative wheel, and Emily's been helping me the last couple of months put the business under my years of teaching and art experience. So I'm really here just to learn from all of you. And
dealing with like art show cancellations and things.
Yes. I've had my biggest art show of the year was canceled in Dallas. So, but also wanting to use my teaching. I'm teaching some Zoom breathing classes for calming, using the breath, and also wanting to support small business. So hopefully I can learn from you guys. Through my teaching, I'm hoping to support various small businesses. So hopefully I can gain some insight into that today. Thank you.
Glad you're here. Lauren?
Hey, y'all. I'm Lauren. Emily, I think our kids go to preschool together.
You look so familiar. That's what it's from. Yay.
I've got a little redheaded 4-year-old. So I think I've met a couple of you guys. I'm the owner of Frio's Gourmet Pops. So we are a popsicle shop here in town. We've got a little, we took over a snow cone shack last year that's got a drive through. And so we have ice cream bars and vegan fruit pops. And we also had another location in downtown McKinney that we are actually closing as of today permanently. So we've had to pivot within just a couple of weeks. We went from, March 1st, literally the phone was ringing off the hook with catering deals. We had paid to be a part of about 7 festivals that have now all canceled. We had just gotten into Mayfest as a vendor in Fort Worth, which would have been 4 days of absolutely amazing business. We were part of Arts and Jazz, Arts in Bloom in downtown McKinney, several other smaller events. So we, even though we have, it looks like we're just a tiny popsicle shop, but we actually, the bulk of our business is events, whether that's festivals where we just sell our prepackaged pops, we'll set up a booth, or our catering. So that includes weddings, which I'm sure in the next few weeks might be canceling as well. So I'm going to have to figure out, how do I refund people? It's truly been a shock and really heartbreaking. I feel like I'm slowly coming to terms and having to pivot. And so we use Square for our point of sale, and thankfully Square has a super easy way to make an online shop. So we just got that going, and we're selling our pops kind of in packs. So we've got like a 6-pack. I created a thing called Donate a Dozen. So if I've had people from out of town that are like, hey, I want to support your business. What can we do? And so I was like, hey, if you want to just buy 12 pops and tell me where you want to drop them off. So just to give back to hospitals, our grocery store staff. These people that are just working overtime to keep our society afloat. And then I'm trying to figure out, can we do like an ice cream truck type of thing? Everybody is at home. So our shop is still open here in Denton since we are a drive-through. We are, it's legal to operate. All of our pops and desserts are prepackaged. So we feel like it's a really safe option for people. But obviously it's a huge, huge change to go from, we survived our slowest season in winter. And then we were just looking forward to things booming. April, honestly, is like our biggest events month. So it's been a huge shock for us.
Craziness. Thank you for sharing that. Julie, hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie James. I own 2 companies, or I co-founded 2 companies. One's a hardware company that does STEM electronics kits for early learners, and then the other one is a software game design company, and we created a no-code platform for interactive narrative games, sort of like choose your own adventure, that anybody can author those games. We're ed tech, so I have been working with educators in the classroom, and ed tech is always like a long game kind of thing, right? But building our network with teachers in schools and learning management systems to be able to offer our curriculum in the classroom and online, but online was like sort of also part of the long game. And now we're flipping that, but I can definitely relate to being like super discouraged. We had a number of conferences that we were going to that are really good for networking, and building those leads, because it takes a long time to get into a school's budget cycle. And then even working with educators in the classroom, which I love. I'm an educator and I love getting in there and working with kids, and bam, that's done, right? So that was discouraging. And then I have my kids at home. So like there was that whole upside down overhaul of things. And I think I'm finally coming to and sort of doing the same thing. Like, how can I fast track the online stuff? Especially when it's just me. And in terms of building the online stuff, I have partners in the businesses, but anyway, so that's kind of what I'm doing and why I'm here. And just to talk to people and get back to reality
even though it's a weird reality. So that's it. That's me.
Glad you're here.
Thanks.
Okay, I see Lacey. Are you here, Lacey?
Hi, it's me. I'm here. There we go. Good morning. Hi, everyone. So I am Stoke's marketing and member coordinator. I know some of you in this gallery view. Hello. We've just been working really hard to support our Denton small businesses and bring things online. So we're kind of in a similar boat there, and bringing our offerings to y'all. So good to see everyone.
I see someone still connecting. Gunn, are you here? Shayna? You here with us, maybe? We can keep doing those introductions in a minute. I think I know most everyone now, but if not, I'm Emily, and I own Wildflower Art Studio. We basically have kind of a two-part business where I teach in person, like workshops and classes, with in our brick and mortar, but the bulk of our business is going to be our Amazon sales, which I sort of had my pivot point a few months ago when that sort of fell apart a little more than I was expecting right before the holidays. And so, I mean, it is really ironic now, but pivot was like my word like to focus on as of like mid-December, when things just, in the last coffee conversation, I kind of went in depth with that, so I'm not going to tell the whole story, but it was just a bit of a mess that I sort of resolved by realizing, okay, diversify, pivot, change directions without losing what I had. Like, I still was putting some energy in like maintaining the Amazon sales because that was a huge part of our business, but also realizing, okay, we can't put all our eggs in one basket. We have to make some changes. And so out of that was born an online class, and then just changing our streams of e-commerce. So it wasn't just on Amazon, it was more on our website. I did a little bit of advertising. Technology is not my forte. So for the technology people, sorry, I'm not going to be great with, I do the best I can, but I don't have like huge insight into all of this. And also with the disclaimer that I do not have this figured out. Even like being asked to talk about this morning, I was thinking, okay, I don't have answers. I have like ideas, and I have like semi-solutions that have worked here and there, but I guess that's all we can offer right now in this craziness. So I'll just kind of go over what has helped me, and then take bits and pieces, and hopefully maybe it can get you started on some kind of new track. The biggest thing for me has been taking time to reevaluate. I think anytime a crisis situation happens, if we just jump right in and start like making big changes, and it does feel a little bit more scary, and our changes might not be as effective as if we can just sit down, even if your kids are around you. I'm home with my kids too right now, who are probably going to make an appearance in here at some point, but just taking time to reevaluate. And in reevaluating, this is sort of, I wrote down some questions that I asked myself when I was at my big pivot point. And in entrepreneurship, we're all like solving problems. So whatever your business may be, it is likely solving some sort of problem. So I think when you come to a pivot point, you just have to ask yourself, okay, so for the popsicle business, I'm providing popsicles at these festivals, bringing joy, bringing a treat to children. So we're going to look at these different problems that we're solving and see how the problem has changed, and then see how to address it in a new and innovative way. And honestly, that just takes time. I really think, for me, there have been times, and businesses are always pivoting. I think in entrepreneurship, it's forever. Like, we're always going to be finding these pivot points. So this is a really big one, but it's also something that's not new for us. So I think while it may take a few months or even a year for you to figure out that pivot, hopefully not a year, but it may take time. It may not be like, okay, this disaster started, a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, whatever it is now. And I want, a solution right now. I've got to keep my business on track. I think we have to just know that we have to set aside some time to reevaluate, so that when we come back, it can be bigger and better I think redirecting our business to meet the new need is kind of becomes a huge focus for us. And I wrote this quote out actually a long time ago when I was, I'll put it up here so you can see it. Everybody see it. If you want to write it down, this has really, really, really helped me a lot. It says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that's a quote from Dan Millman. And that for me has just been a reminder that I can't spend too much energy. When our disaster with Amazon happened, I was a wreck for a few days. It was very scary because it was in my business model, almost like 85% of our income comes in the last quarter. So when that happened, it was so scary for me and my family that became a focus, like the fear of that and the fighting to build it back up and make it work and repair what was broken. But I wasted time when I was focused on that because it wasn't something, it was a problem that was not solvable by me. It was a problem within the Amazon infrastructure. So little me can't address that type of thing. It was, I'm like a small team, 3-person show, I guess, really. So we're a small little business, and Amazon is massive. I think we can all agree on that. So to change the focus on building something new, letting go of what was, that helped me so much. I think in the pivot point, so moving on to the next part of kind of what I was going to share with you, I think reassessing what really matters to us, revisiting those early days when you started your business. What are you really passionate about? Because I think that might help us let go of some of the things that we're holding on to and trying to fix, because sometimes the pivot might be really big. Like if it's a business that's not going to be sustainable through all of this and it's just going to, completely crack apart, then I think revisiting that. And if it's something that really, it can always be fixed, but sometimes the fix is going to be bigger than other times. I think mine has been a little more drastic this time than I had in years past. So I guess I've been in business about probably 10 years, like really pouring into it. And this was a big one for me. So I think when I revisited what I'm really passionate about, I realized the retail didn't really matter as much to me as sharing my passion for art. So when I realized that, it helped me realize, okay, maybe I will be okay letting go of all these holiday sales and pouring into like an online class format where I can still do what I'm so passionate about, which is sharing creativity with other people and helping them use that to invest in their lives. And that's sort of how the online class idea was born. And it's a slow grow, but it was like a starting point for something that was brand new and scary. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to be having those brand new and scary things again with this change of times. So hopefully just know that we're all in this together in new territory, and it's just a weird time. Oh, new person joining us. Do you want to introduce Gunn? We introduced.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm Marcus. Live out in Shady Shores. So it's my first time jumping on the call because I've been to Stoked a couple of times.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
What do you do, Marcus?
Well, I just started I built a website platform for recruiting. It's called myresumespeaks.com. And so it's an online video recruiting tool for candidates and employers, for those that are looking for jobs and those that are candidates or employers that are looking for good candidates. So it's a mix between LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you want to go check it out in the early stages, it's called myresumespeaks.com.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
What a great tool. Okay, the other really thing I was going to talk about is on focus, which I think I sort of mentioned this in the beginning, but I read a quote, or maybe it was just like an article. I don't know how I stumbled upon it at one point, but it was the musings of Mark Manson. And it was really about talking about attention and our ability to focus. And he talks about how like the old currency was knowledge. Like if we had knowledge, then it would help us out and we could succeed in the world today with knowledge. So that's the old currency. The new currency is attention and focus. So that is the hot commodity. If we can maintain our own focus or help give others focus and the ability to hold attention, then we will succeed, according to this little article that I read, which I think there's a lot of truth in that, because right now, when we are in that mode of problem solving and redirecting, I think we can get distracted or get on tangents or have all these ideas just floating around. And I think really the smartest thing for entrepreneurs to do is just to choose one. And it may not be the perfect option. It may be, it may have kinks to work out along the way. It may be a rocky road, but if we can focus on it, it's like this little, I did this little illustration for you. This was from, I think I learned this from James Clear, which I'll show you that book in a minute too. But it's just talking about like work in circles times, and we're like have all these ideas and we're not really getting anywhere. We're just like running around in circles. So it's like taking this concept versus like if we can just action items, we'll be moving forward rather than running around in circles. This is something that I have this posted in my studio, which I can't go to right now, but this is just something that has really helped me. That visual, I'm an artist, so I'm going to be visual anyway, but the concept of just making sure that what I'm doing every day is not running around in circles, which right now it could be with ideas. It could be with trying new things or thinking about trying new things, but this is just a reminder to take little steps of action that are actually moving you forward versus thinking or like ideas or things that are not actually moving you forward, but making that circle just like go around and around. And that was from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And this helped me a lot when I was in the point. It's not necessarily written for entrepreneurs, but it just helps you develop habits. And I don't recommend all parts of this, but there were many points in this book that I found just really insightful for developing new systems. And anytime you're in like a change, it kind of can help you navigate that. Okay, questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, you talked kind of at the beginning, you talked about taking time to be intentional and to really like plan and think about, right? I mean, honestly, like just how you would at the beginning of a business, right? You're not going to like have an idea and then the next day you're like dumping money or whatever into it. You're going to work it out. So in a time like this, where there really is a lot of fear, and I think that, you also talked about that like the entrepreneurs in a way are built for this. Like this is what we do, is navigate change and like having to pivot and like all of those things. The difference right now is that it's happening basically to everybody at the same time. And I think there's some real like sense of community in that. Like how in this moment where like the fear is just like palpable, how do you sit with that? Like how, or like how do you say, okay, I can't just jump in and do something. I have to really make sure that it's like solving a problem, meeting a need. I mean, do you have recommendations or
Yeah,
ideas?
I think very good question. And I can just speak for what has helped me with that. And it really is just taking it one day at a time and not trying to see the whole future of this big change and not trying to I cannot get too weighed down by my fears, or I will be paralyzed and I will not make any changes. That may be a personality thing. I mean, I'm a risk taker in some ways, but I just have to assess every day, just individually. And even working with my team right now, because there are literal changes. Like last week or whenever it was, my team could still go to my studio and work as long as we were not all there at the same time. And, even that, like, they can't go up there anymore. So just assessing one day at a time, what can I do in this day that's going to propel me forward slightly, that it may feel like a small risk, but I don't know that I would make huge risky changes right now because of that fear. But usually when I don't look at it as like the mountain, I just look at it as one little step up, then I'm able to stay brave and make choices that are in the long run going to build something that works. And part of that is just trusting yourself and trusting that you are where you're supposed to be. All the work that you put into it is not in vain, but it also might mean bigger changes. And I think the way that and sometimes I do get overwhelmed by fear, and it is just really scary times. But when I take it one day at a time, and well, my mom mentioned breathing. I mean, literally just taking time that is not working on my business. Like, I have a little creative playtime at the end of every day, and it lightens the mood. Like, things that are not directly related to this scary thing out there, when I invest a little bit of time in that, it makes that not as scary, which feels a little bit counterintuitive, but it's like the playtime, the fun stuff, doing something creative, exercise, all these things are separate, actually help when I make decisions on the business. Hopefully that helped a little bit.
I have a question. So when you moved your workshops online, like, do you have any tips on, or what were the kinks that you encountered with that? Because I think, well, Stoke and a lot of other people were in the middle of, transferring these experiences, these in-person experiences virtually, and it's just a different animal, really. So just wondering if you have any advice on that.
I'm still in the very early phases of this, because I'm just now getting the first round of people that have finished the online courses, and I'm receiving like small bits of feedback from it. So I'm not able to gauge exactly what has worked for that yet and what has not, because it's still new. But I am not tech savvy. So if I can do it, then anybody can. And logistically, I went in with the goal of my mission, my passion for my business. I spent a long time thinking, how can I reflect that with this online experience? Because it's very different. And at first I was very against it. Like, I'm such a people person. I do not want this to be online. But I think just realizing, I asked myself these questions: where are the needs of the world, the needs of this community versus what I'm able to provide? When you ask yourself that question, it was like, okay, well, online is going to have to happen, and especially now. But I think just trying to pull in your personality for, like, whatever your business may be, like your vibe, trying to pull that in online makes it work. So for me, our vibe in the studio, like if you come into one of our real workshops, it's very playful and lighthearted, and it's meant to be this space of inspiration and encouragement and fun. So when I made the class, I tried to incorporate those components, and we filmed it in the studio. So it was kind of with the goal of letting you feel like you were there, and then panning around like to inspirational things on the wall. So I think just keeping that artistic element, maybe, where whatever your business may be, obviously not everyone here is in the creative field, but I mean, yeah, does that kind of help?
Yeah, no, it does, definitely. And you answered my next question. I was wondering like what the structure of those classes was. So it's pre-recorded?
So yes, it's just like different modules, so different videos with different lessons. So like in the hand lettering workshop, for example, I would normally just be in my studio with a class of 18-ish people, and I would just walk around and teach the class over the span of an hour and a half. So for this, we just recorded everything that would normally be taught in videos that ended up lasting, like, I think it's like almost an hour, because there's no time built in for them like working on the projects. So then they're encouraged just to like not start the next video until they finish the first project. And then along with it are things that they download, like color mixing guides, like just tools that I would normally have in handout form, just like sitting on their desk.
That's really smart. It seems like very inclusive with the whole experience. Yeah,
I put a lot of thought into it. I think that's kind of what I was hoping to communicate in the beginning. I really think, because there are going to be a lot of businesses changing through all of this. So I think if you can sit down and really think through it and get a very clear vision, it'll help you with that focus and making sure that you are, I always say, like when I do business coaching for creatives, and I always say like you have to be laser focused, because especially creative minds are just, all over the place with ideas. And if you can keep that laser focus, especially now when we're gonna all be changing a little bit, it's just gonna help a lot.
Emily, I have a free resource that is exactly what you were just talking about. I don't know if you guys have heard Donald Miller. He's an author now turned kind of marketing guy, and his theory is that because he's an author, that everything is a story, and so your brand really is a story. And instead of thinking that the brand is the center of the story, really your customer is the center of the story. And so he offers he calls it a brand script. And you can find that at mystorybrand.com. Y'all, this thing is amazing. You literally just plug in all of the components for your customer. So it's mystorybrand.com. And so the character is the center of the story. So the script goes, there is a character. You first answer, what do they want? So this may be the same as what our original business plans are. So for me, they want a frozen dessert that's refreshing. And so then you go to, now this character, our customer has a problem. Well, now this is where my original brand script has now taken a detour. So now the problem is, but they can't leave the house. And so you kind of start answering these questions. What are the problems that they have? And the next part of the story brand script is that they meet a guide. And this is where we come in. So we are not the center of the story. We are the guide. And he says every single story, every single movie, Star Wars, everything, there's always a guide that's helping that person go in the right direction. So the guide then gives them a plan and then calls them to action. And then the next component is it ends in success. So you describe what is the success and helps them avoid failure. And it ends with a character transformation. So for those of you that had a space, where the problem might have been, I don't know, Emily, for your customers, the problem might have been they're wanting to learn something new, or they are wanting to learn a new skill, or they have children that they're wanting to introduce to artwork. So that's their original problem. Now they're going to meet you as the guide instead of meeting you in the space, the physical space. Now they're meeting you as the guide online. And so if you think about it, all of our customers essentially now have the same problem where they cannot go anywhere. And so for a lot of us, the solution is going to be, how can we meet them literally at their home? So whether that's, for us, we're now doing delivery, which we have never, we've done like Uber Eats and DoorDash and stuff like that, which we still have available. But now with our online shop, I'm having to figure out, let's start getting a delivery route. Like, let's figure out a way where we can, maybe we target a neighborhood, and maybe we see, if we say and make an announcement, hey, we're going to Idiot's Hill on Tuesday, place your orders, and we're literally going to drop these awesome desserts to your doorstep. We're now part of their story, giving part of their solution that ultimately is going to bring them happiness and bring them something that's going to help them get through this period. And so, if you guys haven't done it, it could be really helpful. It's mystorybrand.com. And it's so great because you literally just like plug and play, and you end up coming out with some kind of a idea for what's the direction we're going in.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. That's a great resource. That's so cool. Any questions or insight that you want to share?
I was going to say that I feel like it is what Molly said, your take on the online classes and the downloadable forms. I think that's so clever. And I mean, in that format, you're ultimately able to increase your class size like exponentially, I would imagine. Before you were limited to 18 people, but now you could have as many people enroll, not even limited to Denton.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty amazing, actually. Which also makes me think of, I have a 3-year-old, and she's getting really into drawing and painting. We spend a lot of time doing that. So if you were to create additional educational resources for young children, I feel like now that everyone is home with their kids, that would be utilized as well as others, I think.
That's on the radar. We're all just like in this canceling things, and we had scheduled the full semester of kids classes. So addressing the fact that all of a sudden these kids can't come in my studio led to the idea for our first like kids art kit. So that's in the works right now. But yeah, as you all know, when you're home with kids and supposed to be homeschooling and running a business that's already in motion, it's really hard to add in something else. So that is on the radar, but we'll get there. And this is something else I want to share with you. So the launch of my online classes has not been a smashing success. I'm noticing slow growth for that, but our bread and butter is still our kits. And so Amazon just like the popsicles where you can't go get the popsicles right now, Amazon said you can't send us any more inventory for who knows when, for a long time. So in the idea of problem solving, which I just encourage you all to think creatively. And I know we're all doing that anyway, but I thought so the slow growth for the online class is fine. It's a little bit of income. It's growing, but it wasn't like an immediate replacement for the income that my workshops were bringing in. So I think with Amazon, what I did when I realized that wasn't going to be a source of income anymore was just figuring out how to use the Amazon platform to ship the orders to myself out of my garage, which I'm not even going to show you what's over there right now. It is loads and loads of boxes. So just keeping that innovative entrepreneur brain working and learning. I mean, I'm not techno savvy, but I'm learning how to use it. I figured it out. We're currently fulfilling Amazon orders out of my garage. So keep hanging in there and keep working with what has been working, even though you're going to have a learning curve for this new world. But hang in there. We'll all get through this eventually.
Emily, I was wondering, with the online classes, since they have been going, like what has been your experience or areas where there were kinks with a user or a student, right, going through the course? Like what kind of stuff might have happened there, and how did you solve those problems?
Okay, knock on wood, and I cannot believe that this is the case with me building it. We haven't had any technical issues yet, and I don't even know if I should say that today, or I'm going to get a flood of emails. But I only have 2 online workshops as of now, and both have been working. And I mean, other than someone like couldn't get the volume to work, but I think I get a lot of like in the 65 plus age range people taking my workshops. So I think for them, just like keeping it simple actually would be really smart, because a lot of people are not great with technology. So keeping it simple, I think my workshops were pretty simple. So when I just emailed the sweet lady back and said, you just move the volume, just move it up, and she figured it out.
I have a question. So I know you talked earlier about how you always make sure to capture Wildflower Art Studio's kind of brand in all the decisions you make, like the, welcoming, free spirit, art, creative vibe and everything. What are some other priorities that you always keep in mind when making big decisions? Like, obviously the pivot that you made, it's really a good opportunity for longevity for your business, especially what's happening now. So like, what are some other things that you think about?
Okay, great question. So being focused on my mission is so important, and my mission changes. So what I do every so often, anytime there's like a major change, and I'm probably about to do it again just because this is new uncharted territory, but I sit down and I write down my focus, like what really matters to me, what has been the driving force behind all of this from the beginning. So I've always been a creative person. I've always wanted to share creativity with other people. The little details change, but I sit down and I write it down, and then I post it where I can see it. So it's posted in my studio, and right now it's posted in my garage somewhere. It's just like this, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere around here, but it's just that all the things that really are my focus, because I mentioned kind of that bit of information from Mark Manson, where if we can hold our attention, we can keep our focus. And for me, being a visual person, if I keep it where I see it, then I know that my mission is sharing creativity. My mission is helping people invest in themselves with creativity. Like all these little things, I just have it literally written out. So, and it's like a checklist. So if I do an Instagram post, I have to make sure, does this meet, at least 3 of my 5 requirements before I'm going to put it out into the world. So it doesn't leave my studio until I double check that it is representative of who Wildflower Art Studio is. The other thing that I do is what people call a vision board or a mood board, or it's just where I spend time like kind of listening and creating a visual so that I know what my brand is at this moment, because it changes. Because a long time ago, it was sharing art classes with children. But as I have evolved, as the business has evolved, it's more about self-care, and it's more about sharing creativity for the purpose of health, mental health. So if you want to do one of those, you just like get a magazine and you just tear out words, colors, pictures that really speak to you, and you just paste it all on a sheet of paper, and then you have that visual to look at. And that helps me a lot with focus, because right now I'm seeing other art businesses do these cool things to innovate. I'm like, oh, what a great idea. I should do that. But then no, I shouldn't, because when I look at my own vision board and I look at my own goals, it doesn't align with Wildflower. So it's just really tools to help you stay true to who your business is. Did that help at all?
Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I had a comment. I mean, and I'll just like my mentality through this whole thing is trying. I mean, not in a like a naive or insensitive kind of way, but I'm just trying to like find the silver lining, and I'm trying to like maintain optimism. And like I would just say, like ultimately for your business you may have to like kind of reinvent, not reinvent the wheel, but you might have to like wholly change what it looks like. But I think like to start it could be just little things, little changes, small successes that like help kind of create, you know, Emily was talking about kind of the one day at a time. You know, if you can do one thing, one change, and kind of see if did it work or not. If even if it didn't work, you learned something, right? So, you know, kind of taking small steps and trying to just know that, like for me, for example, Stoke never did virtual content ever. And this is the most people that we've ever had at a coffee and convo. You know, I mean, right? Like we had, I think the most that we ever had at one, I think Julie's, we had maybe 4 or 5 people. And it was great. And, you know, but it's right. So we're trying to see like, this is a huge success, ways that some of our partnerships are deepening. So, you know, it's like a real whirlwind and we really miss seeing a lot of our people in person every day. But I'm trying to look at this stuff. You know, my team is kind of like slacking, like, ooh, like other ideas for ways that we can continue providing amazing virtual like content education for people. So, you know, I don't know. I just say like, find those small wins. You know, Lauren, when you take your popsicle car out to Idiot's Hill and, you know, people are loving it, or you're taking, you know, donated pops to a hospital or something, right? Just like taking those small wins as like, maybe like emphasize them more than you would in an ordinary situation.
Absolutely. That is such a good point, Heather. And celebrating every little success, because with my online class, like when I got my first person signed up, I assumed there would be a flood of people. It was one that signed up initially. And I was like, yes, I mean, really celebrate right now, because we can really get down if we don't, because this business is going to be different. So I know with Sherry's art business, we've been talking about when the big art show is not going to happen. It was like, okay, if we can take beautiful photos of the pieces that were going to be there, put it online, and then open up an online shop. You know, it really is the little things that are going to, over time, a few little things each day, maybe one little thing each day will over time. Yeah, exactly, Heather. It'll grow and we'll celebrate it and we'll be blooming.
I have a little comment to add to that, actually. So, you know, Denton in spring is my favorite time of the year. And I know I'm personally like kind of mourning not being able to participate in a lot of the activities that we have or support local businesses. Like every day I'm like, oh, I want to go do this. And they're closed now, you know? So I think another way to look at it that might be helpful is we need to give people the opportunity to participate in our businesses. Like Lauren, what you're planning on doing with the delivery popsicles, you know, like maybe there's people who are already thinking like, oh, I would kill for a Frios popsicle right now, but I don't feel comfortable going out, or they don't know about the drive-through, you know? So making your content and your experiences accessible, like what Emily's done, I think is a good way of looking at it too.
Well, and something I think that's been really encouraging, this is what I love about Denton. We've lived here for like over 15 years, and the way that this community has rallied, and it's already a community that's primed for supporting local businesses, that within a couple days of things starting to close, you saw Facebook posts and a whole website set up to like, hey, support these local restaurants. And so, I mean, I think what will be really cool, and maybe this is something that the chamber is thinking about too, but if there's a way that you could browse, you know, all the local online offerings, because now it's not just like browse by restaurant type or by business type, but it's like, it'd be awesome if you could browse and find out what local businesses are offering something online. And then I think too, one way I've had to pivot is I'm not a big self promoter. I don't really like my own personal social media. I'm just like, nobody wants to hear about my business all the time. But I've really, the past couple weeks, like I've really had to step it up and just be like, hey guys, if you really do care about supporting local, we would love to have your support. And that really has made a big difference. And just, I think heightening people's, like you said, like people didn't even realize what we did offer. And then I think even giving space to, like saying, hey, I'd like to, if you're able to, and I always kind of like to give that, that little note, because it's also hard to promote our business knowing that a lot of people are suffering and losing their jobs. So to me, to be like, come buy a dessert, I'm like, ugh, some people don't even have that option right now. So, but anyway, and then giving an opportunity to say, hey, in the comments, please leave a message, or please leave a comment with a link to other local businesses that you think, you know, my friends might be interested in supporting. And so I've seen this kind of turn for supporting local, which, you know, we just haven't really seen. I don't think I've really seen before. So I feel like that's a positive.
Yeah. And I'm seeing it not even with local, but I'm seeing it like handmade. I know on our Etsy sales have been insane, and not just the sales part, but people leaving kind reviews, which never has happened before. So it's, I mean, in many ways, it is kind of exciting. It's like people are really rallying around some good things.
Any more questions or comments? We have about 7 minutes till 10. Well, I had a great time talking to everybody.
Share with
Okay,
you.
awesome. Go ahead.
I'll leave you with this because I found this encouraging. This is a quote from Oprah. Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. So I will leave you with that. Thank you all for joining me today.
Can I say one thing before we go? I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. This was really encouraging to me. Just like you guys, we've been spending a lot of time thinking about how do we best serve our members when we're not able to go to them and we're not able to hand things to them personally. And there's been this, it's not a race, but this urgency to provide people what they need, because we can see that they're struggling and we can see that they're scared. And, you know, gathering that and getting that out as fast as possible. And in that going, okay, now we've gone too far the other direction. We've handed them so much they can't carry it, and we've made it worse. So I just appreciate this time of being able to take some notes and think about things. And maybe we didn't make it worse, but it doesn't feel like we made it better yet. So, but conversations like this do make it feel like we're not trying to handle this by ourselves. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you all. And, you know, if you have an idea for something, I think that there are specific roles that each of us play in our own industries. And Heather and I have had this conversation more than once, and we've had this conversation with the city. We're not interested in doing something that you're doing, but doing it better. We're interested in fulfilling a role that we were created to fill. So you guys can get back to doing filling the roles that you're created to fill. So if you have an idea for something that you think is really specifically in the Chamber of Commerce's wheelhouse, we are about making it easier for you to do business. Please reach out to me and let me know what that is. Because I have spent some time also this week looking at the mountain, and it has paralyzed a few of my steps.
Yeah. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica.
Hey, I just got a question for the host here. Number one, do you guys send out the contact information for the folks that are on the call? You know, either for business, so some of us can explore what they do, or maybe
somehow cross promote? And number two is, because of the calendar always fills up, is it a way when you guys send the emails from Stoke that it can be as a calendar invite, so it can be, attached directly to the calendar?
Yeah, so we'll definitely send out a recap of the event. I'm going to let Lacey take the lead on this next part about how you can kind of sign up for the emails and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm our marketing person. I don't think you were here just yet for my introduction, but I can work on turning that Zoom link or, just to this meeting to a calendar invite, if that will help for sure. It might take a little bit, but I'll get it done.
Thank you.
I'm also seeing in the comments, people are starting to drop in their emails and their website. So maybe we can capture that. So if everybody wants to drop your contact info there, and we can maybe capture that and just, if you want your contact shared, then maybe we can just email the group so that you have, so that everybody has it in one email. And then I will also just say that we are working at Stoke to put, since we're doing all this virtual content now and we're recording sessions, we're working to start, I think, Lacey, is this correct? We're looking to start a YouTube channel. So this stuff, we're starting to build like a content library on YouTube. And so we'll make sure that we share that out when we have it. And then also, we are going to continue these coffee and convo. So just really informal conversations on a weekly basis. We have been doing them in person twice a week. We're going to continue doing them once a week. Madi, the next one is next Tuesday.
Next week, actually, with Julie.
Great. So Julie, wave. Yeah. Okay. So Julie will be the host for that session. Anything else?
This was great, guys. Loved it. I'm definitely going to come back.
Cool.
Yay.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, I think this is also nice just to have some human contact, Yeah. All right. Well, if no one has anything else, I'll go ahead and close the meeting, and I have it screenshotted everyone's emails in case we can't access it afterwards. So everyone has their email in the comment that wanted to.
I didn't mine. I think you have. Will you put mine in? I don't know how to do this.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I couldn't tell who was talking for a second. Yes, it's Wildflower Art Studio.
Oh, I just sent it to someone individually. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm having to check your email. It's Wildflower Art Studio at what?
You can do it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yay. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I'll go ahead and end the meeting. But it was nice.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.